go.
Excellent. We've made it to the first week of The Wire. If you haven't noticed, things have changed. We have changed. Mike clearly has a new background that nobody's ready for.
Yep.
So we are here to hopefully help you already start working the waiver wire. Hopefully you're not in that much trouble. Thankfully, there hasn't been a whole lot of injuries that we know of. I think the biggest one is Kittle now. That was kind of a brutal uptick that I wasn't ready for. But with that in mind, I'm Jason Draven. This is Mike. How's it going, Mike?
Yeah, it's going well. I know the updates on it could be a few weeks. Those are always a little ominous. Like, oh gosh, like we talking 2-3, we're talking 6-7. Already piling up for San Francisco too. Purdy popped up on the injury list, and he might not be playing. So, yeah. Rough.
Crazy.
But I'm doing well. I'm excited for the season.
Yeah, and then again, I guess I forgot because it's so long ago now. But Xavier Worthy, we still don't have anything clear on what's happening in KC, but doesn't look like you're going to have him for a couple weeks.
Yeah, I'd be worried to just if he's going to play through the pain and a shoulder injury. It's like one hit, he could be out, he could miss time. Like that's always scary, Always scary to play guys like that, knowing that they're that beat up. So yeah, he seems like an avoid if you can.
Yeah, it's going to be tough for sure. Well, with that in mind, we kind of covered some of the big stuff. Or another weird thing, a lot of quarterback issues. People didn't go as well as we thought they were. Granted, week one, don't overreact. It's just week one. Already had to talk some people off cliffs. So I'm going to go with the guy that I got kind of sold on this offseason. And is still widely available. Showed out in week one. I'm super impressed with. But Michael Penix Jr. is 29% rostered. We need to get that up there. He's a big play. I know it's really risky now. Mooney didn't play this past week. Didn't really seem to affect it a whole lot. But now London, the fourth quarter went out. Makes me a little more nervous. But has a nice rushing ability. We saw his Superman stretch that somehow he scored from what looked like forever. I didn't think that was going to happen, but that leap was incredible. And again, they're going to have to throw, and thankfully he spread it out pretty evenly. Bijan had a massive day because of it, and then we'll move to sticking kind of on the rushing plane. Daniel Jones, 7.7% rostered. Granted, it was the Dolphins who could be the worst team I've seen in a long time when it comes to their defense and offense. Only put up 6 points, but he also is quarterback 3 right now. Real question is he going to be like a real DJ and start just turning up tracks and remixing everything and being super creative? Because Pittman looked good. I know Downs kind of had an injury coming in, so I'm curious if that was why we didn't see him on the field nearly as much. But the tight end that I was super pumped for, Tyler Warren, when I saw him go, I was like, okay, definitely some ability here. Kind of curious to see how that's going to work out. And yeah, the short area target for Daniel Jones worked out really well. Super pumped for him. And then, granted, that rushing ability got 2 touchdowns, which really boosted his day. Definitely is why he's so high in the ranking right now. But little more nervous for his matchup this week, and we'll kind of see how it goes. But those are my 2. Mike, who do you got?
Yeah, I definitely like your 2 options the most. Question on Penix: are you worried if like Drake London and Mooney are gonna miss the week? Are you kind of gonna avoid Penix at that point? Because that's definitely a possibility, right? That London and Mooney are out this coming week. I mean, Mooney missed week 1, and London's a little beat up. So does that kind of scare you away from him, or I guess this is more long term than anything?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think either matchup for Daniel Jones or Penix is really solid this week, but you're really hoping that the guy that you have, this is more of a long-term play, I know. But I really liked what I saw out of him. And again, his targets went to Bijan more than anybody else. London was up there, and then I think that Kyle Pitts is going to be able to kind of step in if London goes down. And so having that ability as well, Wasn't super impressed with any of the other options out there for his wide receivers, but if he can lean on Pitts and Bijan, it could, and then his rushing ability, I think that will really open up the game for him and help kind of move him along, keep him in that conversation as a potential streamer.
Yeah. I went with, two other guys. Well, one of them that did really well, Aaron Rodgers, threw 4 touchdowns in his revenge game against the Jets and had something to say about it. So, I mean, we know this is possible with Rodgers. He wasn't that bad last year. If he stays healthy, I think you can usually, you kind of hope for what, 225, 250 and 2. That'd be great. I mean, and then you can potentially get 4 touchdown passes. So, don't mind Aaron Rodgers here. You're not going to get anything for rushing, but that's not why, you're starting him, anything like that. And then Geno Smith, I mean, he threw for, what was it, over 350 yards against the Patriots. Sorry, I had a mind blank there. And he could always run the ball himself too. Only had 1 touchdown, but you'd imagine when he's throwing for 350 plus yards that you'd hope he'd get 1 or 2 more there. So I think as long as Bowers is healthy, I think he has some decent options there with Bowers, Kobe Myers, a couple other pieces there. So yeah, definitely like yours too. But there's a lot of options here. A lot of quarterbacks kind of played well yesterday. So a lot of the quarterbacks that maybe we didn't roster played well. So you definitely have your options if you have Purdy or you want to pivot from your starting quarterback you drafted.
Yeah, for sure. And I think, I mean, shouldn't be super surprised, but I was kind of surprised by the Fields and Rodgers going back and forth. That was talk about revenge game all over it, but man, that was crazy.
Yeah, no, it was it was awesome to see, and I didn't think that was going to be the shootout, one of the shootouts of the week. So that was definitely more of okay, this is going to be a defensive game, 20-17, right? But nope, they proved us wrong.
Yeah, definitely one of the higher scoring games. All right, Steve, you got anybody that you're interested in?
Nope.
Okay.
Nope.
Makes it easy. So with that in mind, we'll move on to running backs, and I'm going to bring up the name that surprised me. And it's Dylan Sampson, 43.3% rostered. I'm amazed. I wasn't ready for it. Ford still outsnapped him, which really shouldn't be surprising. But the fact that Sampson did so much more with the touches is incredible. So it's very curious to see. And then of course they still have Judkins, who they signed. It's going to be a couple weeks for him to get acclimated, get into the role of how the NFL works, since all the stuff before the season they officially signed him. He's getting a contract, but man, Ford compared to Sampson are just 2 different beasts, and Sampson looked really good. And the fact that we'll get to probably see it again this week with the Ravens that just put up a bunch of points. James Cook was able to kind of gouge them for in the catching area, specifically the receiving. He got 5 catches for 58 yards and averaged 3.4 yards per carry. So seeing how Sampson does against I would say much better defense than the Bengals will be interesting. So I'm very curious as somebody I'm watching. Clearly other people got the note and already had him quite rostered, but for those who didn't, definitely bringing this up for them. But I like that you have a couple of good options, so let's hear about them, Mike.
Yeah, I love the Sampson call. I was a big Dylan Sampson fan. I think pre-draft process and all of that, and I think Judkins did sign, but I wouldn't expect too much from Judkins for another 2-3 weeks. So yeah, I think that's a good call with Dylan Sampson. Not a whole lot with the running backs, but Kenneth Gainwell, I mean, he's on deep leagues, shallow leagues, whatever league you play in, he's probably out there in redraft, and he played a lot more than I think we were all expecting. He actually had, I believe, the most snaps out of any running back for the Steelers, over Warren and Caleb Johnson. He was kind of almost splitting the early down stuff. He was the 2-minute drill, the third down back. Like, Kenneth Gainwell was heavily involved in the game, and He's probably going to need a few more touches, for you to actually start him. But PPR leagues, if he's going to give you 3-4 catches a game and maybe gives you 7, 8-9 carries, if he's efficient with those, we could be seeing like a little bit of like a Justice Hill from last year. It's kind of what comes to mind a little bit for the Ravens. So it was surprising to see his usage. The team, they obviously like him, and going forward, he could be someone in PPR leagues, desperation flex kind of guy. So that's my deep one there. Braylon Allen is under the 50% threshold. I think I know a lot of people. I'm actually surprised he's under the 50%. I thought he would have been a lot more drafted. I feel like for a lot of leagues he was, but I was never in the he's going to take a huge workload from Breece Hall camp, but he is probably the primary backup, or at least get an extended role if something happens to Breece Hall, and I think he can actually be pretty good with increased workload. So yeah, not a whole lot for running backs, which is good. That means no one, our guys didn't get injured for the most part and stuff like that. So maybe a couple more out there, of course backups like Algier and stuff like that. But those are the two I went with.
Yeah, I'm going to bring up another name because again, looking through stats, looking at snap breakdown, Trey Benson. He's right under the 50%, but man, he looked good. Comparing him to Connor, two different beasts again. It was crazy. I wasn't expecting it from him. I thought Connor, was going to come out, do what he always does against the Cardinals or as a Cardinal, and just be the pass catching back, do everything, be the one who constantly puts up the numbers, and it just didn't happen. I was pleasantly surprised by how that worked out.
We have a question from the chat. Batch 82 wants to know if he should drop Dak for Daniel Jones in an 8-team Superflex league.
Ooh.
So there's 16 starting QBs a week. Is Daniel Jones in the top 16 and Dak isn't? That's the question, basically.
I'd still be keeping Dak.
Yeah, I'd still hold on to Dak.
You're definitely holding on to Dak. You can't get away from him. I know it was a down week, but that was also yeah. I would.
He was
just
lights
didn't
out.
Touchdowns.
Like there was a couple of plays where it just hit him in the hands. Normally CD makes those catches. Could have been a huge game. Well,
he's on Pickens. That's part of the problem.
Yeah, I mean Pickens had a couple too. Where
I know, he had one that he missed. Yeah, he dropped.
And I think Ferguson had one too. He wasn't getting a lot of help from his pass catchers, that's for sure.
Yeah, maybe that was due to the weather. We'll give it a break, I guess. That weather break didn't help anything. So, because both teams were really firing on that until that point, and it just kind of came to a dead stop, and the defenses showed up.
Yeah, and we're still. Jury's still out on Dallas's defense. Like they could potentially be Bengals-esque from last year, where it's like good offense, terrible defense is like the fantasy gold mine. I don't think they're going to be as bad as the Bengals defense, but who knows?
We got breaking news here. The Eagles are trading with the Jaguars for Tank Bigsby.
Wow. Okay. Wow. ETN to the moon. Bayshore.
Yeah, it is. That a baby. Let's go.
Yeah. Actually, incredible. Yeah, LaQuint Allen actually played more snaps than Bayshall too, and he's the other rookie they drafted like 6th, 7th round. He actually played more. He was like their third down back, if I remember correctly. The snap breakdown there. So, both I would go with Tootin to pick up. But man, ETN, he was kind of like slept on. I feel like this offseason a bit.
100%. It was just assumed that he lost his job.
Yeah, or he wasn't good
everybody
anymore.
said that it was between him and Bigsby who was going to get traded, and so that's wow.
I'm curious what the compensation is going to be, but now Bigsby is effectively the handcuff for Saquon.
Yeah. Yep. But I'm pretty sure he was already highly rostered because everybody thought he might be the one. So 70.6%. Yeah, that's pretty high. But if he is out there, definitely worth getting. Because they will want to take some off of Barkley's plate, and Shipley was not the answer.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, or AJ Dillon either.
How about that? Breaking news on the first show of the year. You love to see
Worked out, man. That's crazy.
While we were talking about running backs.
Exactly.
Yeah. Perfect timing. Couldn't have gone any better.
Thanks, Ian Rappaport. Timing couldn't be better on that. We appreciate it.
Yeah, right before the Monday night game. Worked out beautifully. That's crazy. Okay. Got a reaction in. That's awesome. Love that for Etienne, especially. Awesome. He looked great. I was super surprised. Not somebody I had rated high because, again, we weren't sure how it was going to break down. And, man, now Bigsby's gone. It's going to be hard to stop the train because he was the pass catching back anyway, and he looked good. So makes it easier. That's for dang sure. All right. You got anybody else we need to talk about, Steve, for running back?
No. I think we're good on that. I think it's what Mike said, really. Like, we're lucky to be in a position where there was nobody that got hurt this week that really, took away a job of a usual starter, so there's nobody that jumps off the page.
All right. Perfect. I guess I'm going to bring it up because I didn't really touch on it, but Chris Rodriguez being a healthy scratch was not ready for that. Because again, the Bill hype was all there, but man, Rodriguez being higher on the depth chart early doesn't mean a whole lot anyway, but it was just a surprise for everybody that it was still split, but Eckler led the way, which we kind of all expected, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
I still think that that's basically how it's going to be, where he's going to have about 50 to 45% of the snaps, and then anyone else that's active is going to rotate in on those other ones. I think it just it looks a lot better for Big Bill this week because it was the Giants. So I'm curious to see once they face, a real team, what that actually is going to look like. Like, he got the more rush attempts than anybody. Mm-hmm. But he had a couple big runs because it's the Giants. So he made the most of his fewer opportunities, but less time on the field. So,
yeah, and again, the thing is that it's Daniels, Eckler, then everybody else. Like that's really the breakdown for me. It's like you're now splitting 50%, but it's not the 50% that really matter because Daniels is going to be taking a handful and Eckler will still be out there doing the pass catching stuff, which I think still makes him the most valuable back until he potentially gets injured, because that's, not the biggest player, but he constantly was working on his body, not clearly as much as Derrick Henry, who looked amazing. And just that fumble was brutal, but it's just one of those things that if you're taking care of your body and putting your money into it, it's going to last you. So, all right, we'll get out of that. Leave it alone. Get out of it. I just had to touch on that because it blew my mind. I wasn't ready for it, but it's going to be a split. You don't want pretty much anybody in the backfield because it's a mess unless it's a good matchup. So, on to wide receivers. And it's been the guy that I have talked about, which seems forever. Cedric Tillman, 35% rostered currently. Went step for step with Jerry Jeudy on the granted, it's the Browns. So as long as Joe Flacco is a quarterback, they will be throwing the ball, and it will be somewhat accurate. So, like I said, you have to take it with a grain of salt. Super explosive player. I've thought he's been super talented. Talked about him a lot over the past year, 2 years. And as bad as the team is, Joe Flacco really made it move. They really just gave it up because there was a couple of targets that should have been caught that weren't, and luckily this week the touchdown went to Tillman. Otherwise, without the TD, he ends up with 10.2 fantasy points. That's still a solid flex wide receiver for you in PPR. Really like it as an option, and finally happy that he has somebody who can throw the ball well, and he's one of the top targets. So. And Mike's going to talk about
on the news there. It's a 5th and a 6th round pick going from the Eagles to the Jags for Bigsby.
Wow, I must really like him. Kind of a lot.
That's interesting. So, but we're going to bring it back because
I think the math on that works out that it's effectively like a late 4th rounder. Basically,
yeah, that's pretty good. That's good if you're the Jags. Get that value for Bigsby, I think. He was a 3rd round pick. 3rd round, I think, a couple years ago. So, but yeah, I'm I'm on wide receiver 3 right now, on pace for 34 touchdowns. Quentin Johnston, he's back from the dead. I mean, he looked good. I mean, that offense and Chargers looked really good. Obviously, you see the hat. We, both of us are Chargers fans here. We won't get into that too much, but it was kind of, it was interesting to see. It was really funneled to those 3 players in Ladd McConkey, Keenan Allen, which we kind of expected those two to get theirs, and then Quentin Johnston. Like, I think Herbert threw the ball 34 times and 26 times it went to those 3 players. So, and Quentin Johnston, he had 8 touchdowns last year when I think Herbert threw 23. So he had over 30% of his touchdown catch. Like, if Herbert has 30 touchdowns,
Red zone target for him for sure.
Yeah, like if he has 30 touchdowns, we could see a double-digit touchdown season from Quentin Johnston. He's never, I don't think he's ever going to be 1,000+ yard receiver or something like that. But he looks good. He can catch touchdowns and make explosive plays, and he's maybe a little bit more freed up with Keenan Allen and Ladd McConkey there. So, go out and add Keenan Allen as well if he's out there on the waiver wire. I don't know what his percentage is, but he actually led the team in targets and, sneakily better than we thought last year. One of those players is like, oh, you actually look at his numbers. It's like, he wasn't that bad last year.
2.2% rostered. So potentially out there in a handful of leagues.
You said 52?
62.
62. Okay. Kayshon Boutte, I never know how to say it, but I think it's Boutte.
It's Boutte.
But he is, I think, the wide receiver 1 maybe for the Patriots. And he played in over 80% of the snaps. He had a good game, 8 targets, 6 catches, 103 yards. And he kind of had a stretch last year too. This isn't just out of nowhere. Like, he had his stretch last year where he was actually solid at times. It's always hard to flex and stuff like that. But from mid-season onwards, like, he was getting consistent targets, 5, 6, 7 targets every single week. This wide receiver room's not that deep. Some people saying like Stephon Diggs does not look good. Kyle Williams is a rookie. Mac Hollins has his role. Demario Douglas is a slot guy. Like, this could be Kayshon Boutte, and he's their guy playing in 2 wide receiver sets, 3 wide receiver sets. If we expect Drake May to take that next step, and he's a guy who was like a former, he was the next LSU wide receiver to come that we were all expecting, and then he had a couple down years in college, and then I think he was a 5th, 6th round pick or something, and so maybe he's finally kind of rounding into form a little bit. So I would definitely in deeper leagues be looking at him because if one more week like this, like, everyone's going to be all over him. So you probably have another week to get him if you want. And then Calvin Austin, if we expect Aaron Rodgers to play like he did, Calvin Austin seems to kind of be that that second guy to DK Metcalf a little bit. So there's not a huge deep receiving room there in Pittsburgh. And is Calvin Austin kind of the next guy behind Metcalf? So those are the 3 I kind of came up with. But there's a lot of good wide receiver options out there for sure.
Yeah, it definitely seems deep this year. I felt like a lot of players have a lot of potential, which could also be due to the fact that there are injuries. But I'm going to leave it open real quick to see if Steve has anybody. But there are a couple names I'll bring up if he doesn't.
What do bad teams like to do? Throw the ball a lot. Wandale Robinson.
God, I know you're coming here.
35%.
You're
so rude. He was 8 targets yesterday, easily number 2 on the Giants, trailing the whole game, like they'll be trailing most of the season. That was the 9th most pass attempts by a team on Sunday, so they're gonna have opportunities. It's gonna be there. He's going to get used. The biggest question mark with anybody in that Giants locker room is who's going to be the quarterback every week, because there's just so many options. So I don't know, but if we get Russell Wilson for at least, I don't know, a month, maybe, I'm okay with rostering Wandale.
And Russ might be the worst of the 3 for fantasy. I mean, we probably team is.
100%.
And we don't know about Dart. He's a little bit of a wild card. So, you're right. He's doing it again. Wandale.
Okay, well, Like it. It's a little of a jab, but I'll take this. I'll take the stray. It's fine. But we're going to talk about Marquise Hollywood Brown here. Talk about a player who really showed up on a Thursday or Friday, I guess. That weird Friday game. But with Worthy potentially likely out this week, Brown looked pretty good. Saw most of the targets. Kelsey wasn't really a factor. And it really went to Brown and Juju. So is that somebody you're looking at, or is that just a crazy town for me?
No, I mean, didn't he have 16 targets or something crazy? Like, yeah, I mean, you can't ignore it. You know, I mean, they're not deep, like you said. Like Kelsey, maybe a little over the hill, Worthy out, Rashee Rice out. You know, Juju will do his thing, but for sure. And you know, last year, Marquise Brown played in 5 games. 4 of them he had 5 or more targets. So he had 15 targets in the last 2 regular season games he played in. And then looks like 13 targets in the 3 playoff games. So, like, it's not crazy. It's not crazy to, you know, is he going to do a whole lot with it? I don't know, but that doesn't really matter. It's kind of like he could be the Wandale of the Chiefs. You know, he could catch 6-7 passes, you know, over the next month. And he's just going to, you know, PPR his way into 12-13 points every week. So,
yeah. I mean, he went 10 for 16 for 99 yards and a touchdown.
Yeah.
So that's a pretty good
play.
week.
Yeah. That big play, the busted play, but you know, still he's capable of it.
And then gonna bring up my guy, Joshua Palmer. Week 1 for the Bills. Came in clutch for him. 5 for 9, 61 yards and a touchdown. I mean, you get those points, it's pretty. Or not a touchdown. Why do I keep doing that? It's big pass, not a touchdown. I was looking at the 20-plus yards. He's getting the big play, and it's just boosting me up there. Likely going to be double digits if he's the second target behind Coleman. I mean, he definitely came in. You could see the veteran plays in him already over Shakir, coming back to the ball, kind of finding open space, playing it. They paid him, so he's playing well for him. And then the other name I'm going to bring up is somebody that kind of even surprised me in Iamaner. If Cam can add any kind of finesse instead of just those rocket balls that he's been chucking, I saw a handful of them that hit him in the hand. He was a second target. And if Ridley's going to be covered, you look Ironmaner, man. That might be something that you're interested in. First game, granted, 2 for 7, but he saw 7 targets. That's something that you're going to want to pay attention to because he's widely available. So, but
yeah,
just throwing it out there.
Another one, and this is very, very deep. 2 Falcons guys. I mean, Ray McLeod, if Drake London's out, and then Casey Washington, he filled the Darnell Mooney role. He played 95% of the snaps. Casey Washington, 6 targets. But if London's out as well, I mean, someone has to catch the ball. So both those guys potentially, you know, if you're desperate already, could be something.
Yeah, or you could take the long bomb and go Trey Tucker if you're wanting a real boom bust play for the Raiders. But again, widely available. I'd much rather, again, it's week 1. We're not overreacting, but if you're looking for some swings, these are some good swings for you.
One more boomer bust, like very deep league option if Worthy is hurt. Tyquan Thornton played 72% of the snaps for the Chiefs, so they ended up using him a lot more than they would have normally, and he's kind of going to be the home run over the top guy if Worthy can't suit up. So just a name to know if you're in a very deep league because he's available basically everywhere.
Yeah, and I like that one as well. That's a pretty good call. Okay. Well, we'll move into tight ends because everybody's favorite position. But going back again, talking about my guys,
keep rattling off wide receivers to avoid talking about tight ends.
Don't be a hater because the next guy pretty much is a wide receiver. The wide receiver 1 for the Saints, Juwan Johnson, played 97.8% of the snaps.
Yep.
Rattler's clear wide receiver 1. Saw the most targets, caught the most balls. The issue remains for him still is injury, because even beginning the year, we weren't sure he was going to play. He talked about having an injury this offseason, wasn't sure he was going to be ready for week 1. Clearly he was there, and it showed because Rattler kept going to him. So if that's going to be the wide receiver 1, definitely want him on your team, especially if he's going to be out there for 97% of the snaps. That's insane. No tight end does that, really.
I think it was the most snap percentage for tight ends this week was Juwan Johnson. And that's always been his issue. It's never been like, he's always been a very talented receiving tight end, very talented, like above average receiving tight end. And he just didn't get on the field enough. He's always floating around 60, 70%. But when he plays, I mean, he puts up numbers that you look at. To end last year, he played in 70% or more of the snaps the last 6 games. And his 17-game pace was 750 yards, 70 catches. Like, that's a low-end tight end 1. 70 catches and 750 yards, with 4 or 5 touchdowns even. So, yeah, I like that call, definitely.
And widely available. Like, again, because I think everybody still thought he was injured or completely forgot about him because he's on the Saints, and, yeah, who wants any part of that?
And that's not going to change, by the way, because Foster Moreau and Taysom Hill are going to miss. They're on the PUP to start the year, so they'll miss 4-6 weeks. So he's going to play it all. I think the only other tight end, they brought someone else, but they have like a rookie tight end and then a veteran guy. I went with Hunter Henry. We talk about him all the time. He increased his involvement. He was playing more snaps than last year, running more routes than last year, out there on third down. They were using Austin Hooper a little bit less. They used Austin Hooper a decent amount last year, saw 8 targets, caught 4 passes for 66. His numbers, if you look at his numbers last year with him and Drake May on the field, like, he was on pace for like an 85 catch type of season. So I like Hunter Henry.
And that's part of the reason we were so worried about him, is because him and Hooper were pretty much splitting it, and Henry was always showing up, and then Hooper would steal the touchdown. I was like, I hate this guy so much. They would just give it the job to him. Henry would be awesome, but yeah, really like
94.3% of the snaps. Yeah, so he played over 90, which he wasn't doing that last year. He definitely wasn't doing that last year. So, and this is a Josh McDaniel offense, so tight ends are always going to be part of it. So yeah, both those guys I really like. Brenton Strange also played a lot of snaps. I think he was over 80% or 75%, which is, Steve talks about this a lot with guys like K-Dot and Theo Johnson last year. It's like, if you're not the talented guys like the McBrides and Kelseys and Bowers of the world, essentially, if you play 80%, 90% of the snaps, you're going to fall into 3-4 catches every week at least, 30, 40, 50 yards. And then, you can always do a little bit more, catch the touchdown. So Brenton Strange, started off kind of hot. He got all 4 of his targets for 59 yards. He played almost 80%, so just under 80% of the snaps. So, and then what do we think about Harold Fannin? I mean, he went off. He's a rookie. He dominated college last year at Bowling Green, like put up insane numbers for a tight end. Of course, it was at Bowling Green, but then comes out, he gets 9 targets. My only issue with him, and then I'll let you touch on it. He did play over 70% of the snaps, but they played a lot of 2-3 tight end sets. And I don't know how often they're actually going to do that. And so if it's more one tight end, I think he might be playing a little bit less. But yeah, what do you think about Harold Fannin Jr.?
Well, I think part of the reason he's out there, it's just the fact that they need somebody to block, but also the pass catching option, because they don't really have another solid wide receiver behind Judy and Tillman. So they're able to use Fannin and Njoku as both a blocker and a pass catcher. So I think that really boosts them up. And I really like the talent. I thought it was going to take longer, honestly, because Njoku showed that he was still a solid player last year. Flacco went to him often. And now if it's already switched to Fannin, that's incredible. That shows you how talented he is.
Njoku did play 9 more snaps. He just didn't get the targets.
Yeah, well, but that's exactly what I'm saying. If the targets aren't there, then they're going to Fannin. Like, that's crazy to me. For a rookie, to already have that kind of talent, it's Trey McBride-esque. I mean,
Mhm.
it's one of those things that you kind of see that you're interested in for sure.
Yeah. If you
So-
play in a fab system, I would be just hesitant on spending too much fab though, because again, like they played a decent amount of 2 and 3 tight end sets, which again, like most NFL teams don't do that, especially 3 tight end sets. And when they were in 11 personnel, so the 3 wide receivers out there, 1 tight end, they basically split third down snaps in 11 personnel, but first and second down it was 70% to Njoku. So just be a little bit hesitant. Like, we don't know if this could be Isaiah Likely from last year, right? Like, it just kind of the game plan and game script led to this, and then we don't really get much else out of it. But yeah, it is impressive to just keep an eye on his name for sure.
Yeah, I was
to the
super
point
pumped
too.
to see
Like
it.
with Flacco, it's similar to what we saw all those years with him in the Ravens, where you had Fannin with 9 targets, Sampson had 8, Judy had 8, Tillman had 8, and Njoku had 6. He spread the ball around a lot. There was nobody that like dominated his eye. He was just looking for who was ever open on whatever play. It didn't really matter.
Yeah, but that's going to happen a lot because the Browns' defense is not good.
No.
Better than I was expecting, but still not great. I'm thinking, I mean, granted, the Bengals only tried to Bengal it. That's for dang sure.
Batch 82 from the chat again would like to know, is Kittle's backup, Jake Tongas, worth the ad? Or are we looking at Juwan Johnson or someone else we've mentioned already?
It actually might be Kendrick Bourne.
That they added today? Yeah, it could be. But you can't play him at tight end, so...
That's fair. That's fair. I mean,
No,
You
they
had
occasionally
Kittle and you
would.
need a replacement. Who are you looking for?
Juwan
These guys
Johnson.
are terrible. Yeah. Juwan Johnson, Hunter Henry are like 1, 2 for me. Yeah, I don't trust Jake. I don't know much even about him, to be completely honest. So, yeah, I don't trust that he's going to be a big part of their offense or anything. He'll catch probably a couple passes, and maybe they have someone else that they'll use more as a receiving guy. So,
I mean,
yeah, go for these guys.
yeah, I can't bring myself to trust because again, the guy I would normally say is Charlie Warner, who isn't there anymore. Like
Yeah.
so there's no kind of backup that I would really go to, and I think that's also why you saw Christian McCaffrey play so much this past week, is because Kittle was out. So you need somebody to come in and catch those passes, and it just happened to be CMC. And then
Yeah.
and Bourne is another name to know and keep on your radar because of the fact that I know Jennings is now dealing with injury already too, and thankfully not thankfully, but it helped Pearsall really open up that offense, and that was another kind of impressive feat that I wasn't hoping for, but I was expecting, and Jennings going out really booted that up quite a bit. So, yeah, if you're looking at tight ends, it's one of the names we talked about, not anybody on the 49ers, because it's just
Luke
going to get
Farrell
spread somewhere
actually
else.
played more snaps too. It just happened to be that Tongas was the one that fell in the end zone, so that's why his numbers look better than they actually were in that game.
Yeah, and we'll see how this week goes on and how that affects the depth chart, but I'm not looking at a tight end from the 49ers. All Kittle's out. So, all right. Finally into defenses, and there's only one that I'm going to bring up, and it's the Los Angeles Chargers, who are 37.5% rostered.
Whoa! There's no You don't want to ask me about tight ends? You don't want my opinion on tight ends?
You brought the very limited.
You don't want to
information.
give
You don't wanna
me
talk
the
about it.
floor to say Jonnu Smith? You don't want to open the door for me to praise Jonnu? How dare you, sir?
Is he even
Jonnu Smith,
available? Is he
rostered
available
in
enough? I don't think that
41% of leagues. He is under the threshold. Thank you very much. Sign me up. Show the man some love.
He beat out of oh my gosh, I can't even think of the guy's name.
Who, Fryermuth?
Fryermuth. Yeah, I was like,
Yeah.
man,
Of course he did, because
if
he's
he's
Jonnu.
already beat out Fryermuth. That's horrible.
Yeah. All right, there you go. You can move on to defenses now.
Had to throw out Johnny. Yeah, I guess that's all right. I mean, if they're going to have to pass that much, that Steelers defense was not what I was expecting.
Yeah.
Or Fields just
It's
looked really
week
good.
one.
Yeah.
I
Again,
mean, it helps having 3 months to prep for a game
for
as
a game,
opposed to
yeah.
6 days.
Yeah, that's fair. All right, we'll see how it goes next week. Hopefully that'll change things around. Pittsburgh will be back to being Pittsburgh, or not. I mean, that looked great for fantasy. The defense didn't, which we're talking about now. But again, my pick: Los Angeles Chargers. The 37.5% rostered. Played in Brazil, looked good against the Chiefs. Granted, they did lose Worthy. I'd be kind of more curious to see how that game played out if they were healthy. However, they do get to play the Raiders on Monday night with Bowers, who got shooken up, and so we looked pretty solid. I mean, the Patriots looked good this past week, and they didn't have Christian Gonzalez, who's probably one of the best cornerbacks in the league. So, and they are currently tied for the 12th best defense on the week in fantasy points. The Patriots are, and I'm very curious to see how the Raiders will do against the Chargers this week. So, think you're going to be likely looking at a top 12 defense. Got anybody, Mike?
Yeah, I was looking through, the schedule. Buccaneers, I don't know what their roster percentage is exactly, but they jump off the page playing the Texans. Texans just did not look good. Offensive line had
24%
issues.
for the Bucks.
Okay. Yeah, Texans offensive line looked bad. I think someone got hurt as well, if I remember correctly, and on their offensive line. So I don't mind the Buccaneers this week. A lot of the other teams, I don't know. It's kind of tough. And maybe Patriots against the Dolphins because they look so bad. We got to find our Will Levis of this year. Will Levis, play the defense playing Will Levis was just absolute gold last year from you, Steve. So we got to find that guy this year. Maybe it's Rattler. I don't know.
You really think I'm going to mix it up? The Los Angeles Rams at 16% going against the Titans. God, come on. If it ain't broke, you don't fix it.
Very true. Very true.
I guess that's fair.
It's just the Titans. It wasn't even Levis last year. It was just the Titans.
Rams are the number 4 defense on the week coming out of week 1, and they're going up against the Titans next week. I will take that. It's a streaming thing because the week after that, it's the Eagles. So you definitely don't want that. But I'm 100% fine going with the Titans here.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, I like it. It's risky. I mean, they look good. I was surprised by the defense. So, but again, hey, week 1, don't overreact, guys. It's just we're throwing out names to talk about. We have to see how the season progresses, how these teams change, evolve, get better, get worse. Really see what the trends are. But these are players that you need to know, you need to keep an eye on. I'm definitely going to be keeping an eye on them. So I hope you all do as well. But with that in mind, we have a lovely game to watch. Vikings versus Bears. I'm curious to see how this breaks down. This is going to be another fun one to kind of watch. We'll see how it ends up. Like I said, I'm very curious. I'm really curious about the running backfield in Minnesota now with Mason there and Jones, because they said they want to take more work off. How does that actually look? How's that play out? No Jordan Addison. Who steps up, if anybody? Does Caleb improve? These are all questions that I'm very curious to have answered. This is just week 1, so I doubt they will fully be answered, but we'll start having a general idea, hopefully, of what could potentially happen. And I'm excited to see, hopefully, Caleb get better. I didn't like it what I saw from him in the preseason. That's for nature. He's still not doing a lot of things that I expect him to have kind of learned, but a lot of season left. Curious to see how that breaks down. But any final parting words, Mike?
No, I'm excited to be back, and hopefully we'll be back next week with not too many names because that means there's injuries, but with no injury, lots of names with no injuries. That's what we're hoping for. Yeah,
a lot of potential gems to find there. We'll get it. Start to make it sparkle, get some shiny diamonds out of this coal, and see if we can't figure it out and work. But with that in mind, go enjoy the game. Had a blast. Thank you so much for coming for the wire. We will back Wednesday for the first show of the season for Roster of the People. And then I will be back Thursday night to help you set your lineups and our betting show on Friday. And then you'll see me again Sunday to the week before, final countdown. We'll be ready to help set your lineups, and we should be good to go. Thank you so much for sticking with us. Really appreciate it. Of course, as always, remember, this is just a game. Have some fun. And to keep up the nonsense.